Captain Elena Santos watched the holographic display with growing concern as the massive alien vessels surrounded the Meridian colony ships. The settlers, refugees from a dying world, had been promised sanctuary in this sector, but the Hexaran battle fleet apparently had other plans. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tension crackling across the bridge of the UES Hyperion. 15 Hexaran warships, Captain," Lieutenant Chen reported from Tactical. "Their weapons are hot, and they're broadcasting demands for immediate surrender. The Meridian ships are civilian-grade. They won't survive a direct confrontation." Santos nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the red warning lights flashing across her console. The Hyperion and its 2 sister ships, humanity's first deep space combat vessels equipped with the experimental quantum shield technology, weren't supposed to be here. Their mission had been purely observational, gathering intelligence on the various alien civilizations in this sector. But Santos couldn't stand by and watch a massacre. "Open a channel to the Hexaran command ship," she ordered. The alien commander's face appeared on screen, a mass of writhing tentacles surrounding 4 glowing eyes. The universal translator kicked in as it spoke. "This is none of your concern, human vessel. These refugees violated Hexaran space. They will submit to our authority or be destroyed." Santos leaned forward in her chair. "With respect, Commander, this is neutral space according to Galactic Council charts. The Meridians have committed no crime. Stand down your weapons." A sound like grinding glass emanated from the alien, their equivalent of laughter. "You dare to challenge us? 3 ships against 15. The humans truly are as primitive as they say." "Last warning," Santos said quietly. "Withdraw your fleet." The Hexaran commander's tentacles writhed faster. "Open fire. Teach these humans their place." Energy beams lanced out from the Hexaran ships, enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. They struck the quantum shields of Santos's small fleet and dissipated completely. On her tactical display, shield strength remained at 99%. "Return fire," Santos ordered. "Disable only. Target their weapon systems and engines." The Hyperion's new particle lance weapons fired with surgical precision, carving through the Hexaran ship's shields like they weren't even there. Within moments, the mighty battle fleet was dead in space, their weapons and engines smoking ruins. "Channel still open, Captain," communications reported. "Commander," Santos addressed the stunned alien. "Those refugees are under our protection now. We'll be happy to discuss this incident with the Galactic Council, but first we'll escort these people to their new home. I trust you won't interfere further." The aliens' tentacles had gone completely still, a sign of shock in their species. "How this is impossible. Our weapons, your shields, are something new," Santos finished. "Something that proves humanity isn't as primitive as you thought. Now, do we have an understanding?" The alien commander could only nod before cutting transmission. As Santos ordered course laid in to escort the refugee fleet, she knew this incident would have far-reaching consequences. Humanity had just announced its presence on the galactic stage in a way no one could ignore. "Send word to command," she told her communications officer. "Tell them the quantum shields work better than we hoped, and that we may have just started something big." Lieutenant Chen spoke up from Tactical. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from several of the disabled Hexaran ships. They appear to be sending coded transmissions on frequencies we've never seen before. Can you trace them? They're aimed toward the galactic core, specifically toward what we believe to be the Galactic Council's headquarters." Santos settled back in her chair, a grim smile playing across her face. "Well, I suppose we've finally gotten their attention. Let's make sure we're ready for what comes next." The Hyperion and its sister ships formed up around the refugee fleet, their quantum shields gleaming with barely contained energy. Humanity had just demonstrated technology that should have been impossible by conventional galactic understanding. The real question now was how the powers that be would react to this disruption of their carefully maintained order. As they set course for the Meridian's new home, Santos couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, not as supplicants or primitive newcomers, but as protectors. The consequences of that choice would reshape the galaxy in ways no one could predict. The Galactic Council's emergency session chamber hadn't seen this much activity in over 3 centuries. Ambassador Marcus Chen stood at the center of the vast amphitheater, surrounded by representatives of over 200 species. The floating holographic displays showed the recent confrontation between the human ships and the Hexaran fleet from multiple angles. "This is unprecedented," boomed Arch-Councilor Vex, his crystalline form pulsing with angry red light. "Your species was granted observer status barely a decade ago, and now you dare to interfere with established power structures." Chen adjusted his formal diplomatic robes, keeping his expression neutral. "With respect, Arch-Councilor, we intervened to prevent the slaughter of innocent refugees in neutral space. The Hexaran fleet's actions violated no less than 7 Council protocols regarding the treatment of displaced peoples. The protocols are not the issue. A Hexaran representative's tentacles whipped through the air. Your ships displayed impossible technology. Our weapons had no effect, while yours cut through our strongest shields like vapor. You must share this quantum shield technology immediately." "Or what?" Chen's voice carried clearly through the chamber. "Will you attempt to take it by force, like you tried to take those refugees' lives?" The chamber erupted in overlapping voices and translated protests. Chen noticed several of the smaller species representatives watching with obvious interest. Not everyone, it seemed, was comfortable with the current power balance. "Order." Vex's crystalline form pulsed brighter. "Ambassador Chen, surely you understand our concern. Such technology could destabilize centuries of carefully maintained peace. Peace maintained through superior firepower is not true peace," Chen countered. "But we aren't here to destabilize anything. Humanity offers friendship and trade to all species who wish it. We simply won't stand idle while the strong prey on the weak." A new voice cut through the chamber. "High Commissioner Zara of the Meridian Refugees, my people can testify to the humans' integrity. They asked nothing in return for their protection. They simply acted because it was right." Chen nodded gratefully to the Meridian representative. "The quantum shield technology will remain exclusively in human hands, for now. But we're happy to discuss trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense pacts with any species that shares our values." The chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just offering technology or military power, they were offering an alternative to the current order. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the chamber. A junior aide rushed to Vex, their chitinous exoskeleton clicking with agitation. "Multiple reports coming in," Vex announced, his crystalline form dimming. 3 more incidents of human ships intervening in situations across the galaxy. 2 involving Hexaran expansion fleets, 1 preventing a Drachnid slave raid. Chen kept his expression neutral, but internally he smiled. Captain Santo's encounter hadn't been a fluke. It had been a carefully coordinated demonstration. As the chamber erupted in fresh chaos, he activated his neural implant's secure channel. "Message received, Command. Phase 1 complete. They're rattled, and the smaller species are already showing interest. Shall I proceed with Phase 2? The response came immediately. "Proceed, Ambassador. Let's show them what real peace looks like." Chen looked around the chamber, noting which species representatives seemed intrigued rather than outraged. Humanity's emergence as a galactic power wouldn't be smooth, but they had planned for this moment for years. The quantum shields were just the beginning. "Arch-Councilor," he called out over the din, "I believe it's time we discussed reforming certain Council protocols, starting with the rights of developing species and refugees." The galaxy was changing, and humanity was determined to ensure it changed for the better. Dr. Sarah Lynn moved silently through the ancient archives beneath the Galactic Council's headquarters, her quantum stealth field making her virtually undetectable. As humanity's leading archaeologist, she'd spent months infiltrating this restricted section, searching for answers about the Council's true history. Time check, she sub-vocalized through her neural link. 18 minutes until security sweep, replied Captain Santos, now coordinating the covert operation from the UES Hyperion in high orbit. Find anything interesting? Oh, you could say that. Lynn's augmented vision scanned the crystalline data matrices lining the walls. I'm looking at records that predate the current council by thousands of years, and they tell a very different story than the official histories. She downloaded terabytes of data through her neural interface while continuing to search. The archives seemed endless, stretching for kilometers under the surface. But she knew exactly what she was looking for, proof of the pattern they'd suspected. Got it, she whispered, her hands trembling as she accessed a particular data crystal. Operation Eternal Harmony. The Council's first attempt at... Oh God. What is it? Santos asked. The compliance technology the Hexerans tried to use on those refugees. It's not theirs. It's old Council tech, developed over 50,000 years ago. They've been using it to domesticate species they consider threatening. Lynn's augmented vision highlighted passage after passage of carefully documented atrocities. Species that developed too quickly, that showed too much independence, that refused to conform to the Council's idea of proper civilization. All of them subjected to forced neural modification, or worse. How many? Santos' voice was tight with anger. Hundreds of species over the millennia. Those that couldn't be controlled were removed. There's a pattern to their expansion. Find promising species, assess their potential threat level, then either control or eliminate them before they can become true rivals. A subtle vibration through the floor warned Lynn of approaching security. She quickly accessed one final data crystal, then began her retreat. Sarah, Santos said suddenly. Those energy readings from the Hexeran ships after our first encounter, I'm sending you the analysis now. Compare it to what you're seeing. Lynn's eyes widened as the data streams merged in her neural interface. It matches. The Council didn't just know about the Hexeran attack on the refugees. They ordered it. It was a test to see if we could be controlled like all the others. And when their compliance technology failed, we became a threat to be eliminated. Lynn reached the archive's exit, her stealth field still holding. But they've never encountered anything like our quantum technology before. That's why they're so desperate to get their hands on it. Get back to the extraction point, Santos ordered. We need to warn Earth Command and our new allies. If the Council follows their historical pattern, they won't just come after us, Lynn finished. They'll try to wipe us out completely, along with any species that stands with us. As she made her way through the upper levels, Lynn passed dozens of alien diplomats and officials. None of them knew that their civilization was built on millennia of calculated genocide and forced neural modification. Or maybe some of them did know, and simply accepted it as the price of galactic stability. But humanity had inadvertently disrupted that carefully maintained order. Their quantum shields weren't just a defensive technology. They represented something far more dangerous to the Council's power. Proof that their control wasn't absolute. Captain, Lynn said as she reached the secured diplomatic quarter where her cover identity had quarters. Remember those smaller species at the emergency session? The ones who seemed more curious than afraid. What about them? I found records of failed compliance attempts on at least 3 of their worlds. They'd been playing along, pretending to be perfectly controlled, while secretly maintaining their independence. Just like we did. You think they'll side with us? Lynn smiled as she removed her stealth field, once again becoming visible as a respected xenanthropologist studying Council culture. I think it's time humanity showed the galaxy there's another way. One that doesn't require giving up who and what you are. Agreed, Santos replied. But first, we need to prepare. Because if these records are accurate, what's coming next will make our first encounter with the Hexerans look like a diplomatic dinner party. The true scale of their challenge was becoming clear. This wasn't just about protecting refugees or demonstrating new technology. Humanity had stumbled onto a conspiracy spanning thousands of years and hundreds of species. The question now was, How many others would stand with them when the truth came out? The emergency transmission came at 300 Earth Standard Time. Captain Santos was already on the Hyperion's bridge when the quantum-encrypted message arrived from the Raxian homeworld. "They're here," the message read. "Council Purification Fleet. 40 ships. Please help." Santos didn't hesitate. "All hands to battle stations. Contact the Trinity and Defiant. We're going in." The Raxians had been among the first to secretly ally with humanity after the Hexaron incident, a species of brilliant engineers whose resistance to compliance technology had forced them to hide their true capabilities for centuries. Now the Council was moving to eliminate them before they could openly join the growing alliance. Multiple quantum fold signatures detected, Lieutenant Chen reported as the human fleet emerged from FTL. "The Trinity and Defiant are with us, plus 17 other ships." Santos smiled as she recognized the energy signatures. The Meridians, grateful for their earlier rescue, had sent their newly retrofitted defense fleet. And they weren't alone. Ships of various designs and origins formed up around the Hyperion, vessels belonging to species who'd maintained their independence in secret, waiting for a chance to break free. "Council fleet in visual range," Chen announced. "They're charging weapons." The massive Council vessels dwarfed even the largest ships in Santos' improvised alliance. Their hulls bristled with weaponry that had subjugated countless civilizations. But this time would be different. "Open channel to all allied ships," Santos ordered. "This is Captain Elena Santos. Today we show the galaxy that freedom is stronger than control. Execute Battle Plan Omega." The Council fleet opened fire, expecting an easy victory. Instead, their energy weapons splashed harmlessly against quantum shields that now protected not just human vessels, but those of their allies. The counterattack that followed demonstrated why the Council had been so afraid of uncontrolled species working together. Meridian ships, their hulls enhanced with human technology, darted between the massive Council vessels with impossible agility. Raxian energy weapons, no longer disguised as primitive defense tools, carved through Council shields. And the human vessels led the charge, their quantum lance weapons systematically disabling the greatest fleet the Council had assembled in centuries. "Council ships are powering down," Chen reported. They're surrendering, Captain." "Good." Santos opened a channel to the Council flagship. "This is Captain Santos. Your fleet is disabled. The Raxian people are under our protection now. Any further attempts at purification will be met with the same response." The Council commander's holographic image appeared on her screen, a being of pure energy contained within an ornic mechanical shell. "You don't understand what you're doing," it said. "The compliance protocols exist for a reason. Without them, the galaxy will descend into chaos." "No," Santos replied. "The galaxy will be free. And species will learn to work together because they choose to, not because they're forced to. You think you've won." The commander's energy form pulsed with anger. "This fleet was just the beginning. The Council will not allow this rebellion to spread. Even now, our ultimate weapon is." The transmission cut off as the Council ship's power failed completely. But Santos knew the commander's words weren't just empty threats. The Council had ruled for thousands of years. They wouldn't give up their power easily. "Message from Dr. Lin," Chen reported. "She's decoded more of the archive data. Captain, the Council has something called the Unity Protocol, some kind of massive compliance weapon built into their central fortress. If activated, it could affect every planet in Council space simultaneously." Santos nodded grimly. "So that's their endgame. If they can't control us ship by ship, they'll try to do it all at once." She opened a channel to all allied vessels. "All ships, form up. We've won this battle. But the real fight is just beginning. The Council has to be stopped before they can activate their superweapon." As the Allied fleet regrouped, Santos couldn't help but feel pride in what they'd accomplished. Humanity had done more than just resist control. They'd given hope to others who'd been secretly doing the same. Now that hope had turned into the first true alliance of free species the galaxy had seen in millennia. The Council's fortress would be their hardest target yet, but with their combined strength and ingenuity, Santos knew they had a fighting chance. The age of compliance was about to end. The Galactic Council's central fortress hung in space like a dark star, its ancient hull reflecting no light. Dr. Sarah Lynn studied the massive structure from the bridge of the Hyperion, her neural interface processing streams of data from the archives she'd stolen. The Unity Protocol device is housed in the central spire, she reported. But these readings, Captain, it's already powering up. Captain Santos watched as more Allied ships emerged from quantum-fold space, joining their fleet. Representatives from 23 formerly controlled or hiding species had answered humanity's call. It was an impressive force, but the fortress's defenses made the previous Council fleet look primitive. Time to activation, Santos asked. 30 minutes, Lynn replied. Once it's active, its compliance field will reach every Council-controlled world simultaneously. No current shield technology can block it. Not even ours. Santos nodded grimly. Then we end this now. She opened a channel to the Allied fleet. All ships, Battle Formation Delta. Remember your assignments. We only get one shot at this. The fortress's defenses opened fire as they approached, filling space with enough energy to vaporize continents. But the Allies had planned for this. Meridian ships, the most agile in the fleet, drew fire while Raxian vessels targeted specific defense nodes with their enhanced weapons. The human ships, led by the Hyperion, drove straight for the central spire. Their quantum shields held, but the strain was evident as warning lights flashed across every bridge. Shields at 60% and dropping, Lieutenant Chen reported. We're taking more fire than we can absorb. Hold course, Santos ordered. Then her console lit up with an urgent message. Ambassador Chen, still inside the Council chamber, had acted. Throughout the fortress, lights flickered as hidden computer viruses activated. For centuries, supposedly compliant species had planted dormant code in Council systems, waiting for this moment. Now those digital time bombs detonated, causing chaos in the fortress's coordinated defenses. Multiple shield generators offline, Lynn reported. But the Unity device, its power readings are spiking. They're trying to activate it early. Santos had expected this. All ships execute final phase. Dr. Lynn, you're up. Lynn activated her neural interface's full capacity, connecting to the quantum communication network they'd established between Allied ships. In moments, her consciousness was linked with 24 other scientists and engineers, the greatest minds of their respective species, working in perfect synchronization. Together, they launched the most sophisticated cyber attack ever attempted. While their fleets engaged the fortress's conventional defenses, this joint consciousness attacked the Unity device's control systems directly. They're fighting back, Lynn gasped, her mind struggling under the assault of Council AI defenses. Their security is like nothing we've seen. Keep pushing, Santos encouraged. The fleet will get you your opening. The Hyperion shuddered as another barrage struck their shields. They were almost in position, the central spire looming before them. In the Council chamber, Ambassador Chen and representatives from other Allied species barricaded themselves in, fighting off security forces while broadcasting the truth about the Council's history to every world in range. Then Lynn saw it, a fraction of a second when the Council's defenses realigned. There, the combined consciousness of 23 species' finest minds struck through that momentary gap. They didn't try to seize control of the Unity device. Instead, they rewrote its core programming, fundamentally changing its nature. Captain, Lynn said, her voice strained. Fire, fire now. The Hyperion's quantum lance fired, joined by every Allied ship in range. Their combined attack struck the central spire at the exact moment the Unity device activated. Energy exploded outward in a massive sphere, washing over ships and planets alike. But instead of forcing compliance, The reprogrammed wave did something else entirely. It shattered every piece of compliance technology in Council space, freeing billions of minds simultaneously. The fortress's defenses went dark as the wave passed. Inside the Council chamber, Ambassador Chen watched as the High Councilor's control over their subject species evaporated. Status report: Santos called out as the energy wave dissipated. Unity device is offline. Permanently, Lin reported, her neural interface showing the aftermath. The compliance technology: it's been completely burned out. They couldn't rebuild it even if they wanted to. Captain, Chen added from tactical, I'm getting readings from across Council space. Ships are standing down. The controlled species, they're free. Santos allowed herself a small smile. Send word to Earth and to all our allies. Tell them it worked. The age of compliance is over. In the days that followed, the galaxy experienced something it hadn't known in thousands of years: true freedom. The Council was reformed, with representatives from all species given equal voice. The compliance technology was officially banned, its history preserved as a reminder of what happens when civilization is built on control rather than cooperation. The human quantum shield technology was eventually shared with their allies, but it was rarely needed. The species of the galaxy had learned a better way to live together, not through forced harmony, but through chosen unity. Captain Santos stood at her familiar viewport one last time, watching ships of all designs move peacefully through space around the former Council fortress. Dr. Lin and Ambassador Chen joined her, their mission finally complete. They said humans were too unpredictable to join galactic society, Chen mused. I suppose they were right, just not in the way they thought. We did what we do best, Lin added. We saw something wrong, and we fixed it. And we convinced others to help us do it. Santos nodded, thinking of all the species now free to chart their own course among the stars. That's what humanity brings to the galaxy, not just technology or military power, but hope. The idea that things can change for the better if enough people are willing to stand up and make it happen. She turned to her friends and colleagues, representatives of a humanity that had found its place in the cosmos, not through conquest or submission, but by championing freedom itself. Now, she said, let's see what the galaxy can accomplish when everyone is free to reach their full potential. The stars seemed to shine brighter as the Hyperion set course for Earth, leading a new fleet not of war, but of exploration. The age of compliance was over. The age of true cooperation had begun.